Welcome to a look into the future. What would you do if you can go to the future and ask yourself a question? Luckily, we can just ask the time traveler himself, Paul Latham. Paul brings three amazing things with him to the show here today. Number one, he's built a successful accounting practice in the UK, so he understands us accountants. In fact, he built his firm into an advisory powerhouse, which sold for $45 million in 2001. Number two, he's taken a business public, building it to a market value in excess of $400 million. So he really understands what business owners need and the value they want, and what we as accountants need to provide to them. And finally, as I said, number three, we luckily don't need to bend the laws of physics to invent time travel. We can just ask Paul and learn from the transition he made 20 years ago in the UK into providing business advisory services, as that trend is definitely here in the US marketplace. I'm Garrett Wagner, your Entrepreneurial CPA Channel host, and I am as excited as ever to be joined by the legendary Paul Latham of Hay & Rock Solutions. On today's show, we're going to expand, talk about the things that CPA firms need to do to move past the bare minimum, and talk about one of my favorite topics, engaging your team, one of the most important things you at your CPA firm need to do. So Paul, I'm excited to hear what you've got to say about that.
Hi, Garrett. Yeah, as we talked about last time, CPAs definitely need to do more than the bare minimum. And as I said last time, I think it's very much for the CPA to be able to say, not just do as I say to their business owner clients, but be able to go, this is how we do it in our business. And if they want to transform their CPA business, as you say, there's a number of things, but in many ways, the first one is engaging the team, make it an interesting and exciting place to work, retain the best talent. We were doing this 20 plus years ago, and I didn't used to call it this back in England, but today I call this team engagement, almost the importance of creating a Navy SEAL culture inside your CPA business. I think it probably is the single biggest issue that I hear from CPAs, because they're all struggling to retain their best talent. And the truth is, and it may hurt a little bit, but you see, I think people who potentially, or their best talent, they regard their job as pretty boring. And if you're going to overcome that as a CPA, then you need to make your business an interesting and exciting place that they actually want to work at. And ultimately, the team need to know a few things. And I always think it starts with the question, why? Why does their job matter? You need to make it interesting and exciting. There's a famous story about NASA back in the 1960s. I think it was President Kennedy talking to a cleaner. And he said to that cleaner, what do you do at NASA? And the cleaner didn't say, I'm a cleaner. He actually said, I'm part of the team who's aiming to put a man on the moon. And the point is there, that cleaner knew why their job mattered. So I think it starts with explaining to your people, what's your purpose? What's your business purpose? What's your mission? And I can tell you now, their mission is not to do tax returns or some such type of subject. Their mission, I always think, and what we used to say at Latham's was, your mission is to help clients to maximize their business potential. We're helping them to grow their revenues. We're helping them to grow their profits. We're helping them to build business value. That's what we're doing, and you're part of that mission. And then, having explained why the job matters, the next question to address is, so what's the plan and what's their role in the plan? And what you have to do with your team is make sure that they know what they have to do and make sure that they have the right skills to execute. So if you're going to start giving them the ability to start providing forward-looking services, then you need to make sure that they're trained properly to do that. And this is going to build great opportunity for them. You need to also make sure that they understand how, well, I suppose it comes down to what are our values. You need to build trust between the partners and the team. If you go back to that Navy SEAL mentality, I mean, Navy SEALs, one of their values is we leave nobody behind. If we go into a mission, we bring everybody back. It's all about team. It's not about me or I. It's about we. And it's getting that mentality into the team. And basically the message is, we know why the job matters. We know what the plan is. We know what their role is. They understand their values, and they're going to get the job done working together as a team. And this shift to a collaborative team-based approach, I think has probably been one of the biggest business changes in the last 25 years. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I got to agree with you. It is a major, major shift. And a lot of times when I talk about, engaging millennials and how to deal with the millennial problems at firms, yeah, it comes back to employee engagement. How do you get them engaged? Well, they've got to know why they're there. And at the end of the day, I love your cleaning story, because sometimes I tell this analogy of, yeah, your people, like that cleaning person, knew why he was there. And he was the cleaning person, so he was the lower end of the rung. So if you are tax managers or audit managers, and soon-to-be partners, don't know why they're there and they're that high up your organization, that's a problem. They're not really engaged because there's nothing for them to be engaged in.
Yes.
Huge point. So I got to ask you, so how do you think firms make this change, and how do you guys make this change back at Latham?
Yeah, I mean, the quick answer is it's not an easy thing to do, but I quite like formulas, and there's a formula, E equals MC squared. And I always used to talk to my people about E equals MC squared. And in that particular formula, the E stands for enthusiasm. So enthusiasm is made up of M, C, and C. So the M is the mission or the purpose. So they do understand why their job matters, and that's really important. The first C is basically cash. Obviously you do have to pay people an appropriate reward because they're doing an important job. Their mission is to put a man on the moon or whatever their mission is, and they should obviously receive fair reward for their efforts. But then the second C in the C squared, I think, is often forgotten about. In most businesses, not just CPAs, probably just most businesses, and it's what I call cheering. And basically my message really is you don't expect, or you shouldn't expect, people to work in a sterile vacuum. And I always use the analogy of a football game. You go to a football game in the US and the crowd are involved in that process. And they don't just, obviously they cheer touchdowns, but they don't just cheer touchdowns. They cheer progress down the field. And every 10 yards, it's first down and the crowd are all cheering and being cheered on. And in any business, and CPAs are no different, they need to start with the mission in terms of why the job matters. They obviously need to pay the right cash for reward, but they need to cheer and they need to recognize effort and progress. And people who have their effort and progress recognized get more enthusiastic. And so ultimately, E equals MC squared.
I love it. I love the kind of the play on Einstein's formula there. But yeah, it's that cheering, that feedback. How often do you circle back to your team and say, hey, great job, amazing job. You really did a great job here. You knew what the mission was, and you just executed it like crazy. Even if it's just a 5-yard, 10-yard, 20-yard play, it might not be a touchdown, but they're doing things in the right path, and that helps them better understand and get a feel for what's that mission and drive it forward. So yeah, if you're a CPA firm.
Can I just add one more thing? It's not just positives. It's also, if they're not moving the ball down the field, you need to recognize that as well. And so that they don't think that, you just said it, but you didn't mean it. So yeah. Hopefully it's cheering, but it might also be, actually, do you need a bit of help here? Because we do need to move this ball down the field.
Yes, and that's why I think feedback is a two-way street, the positive and negative. And, Paul, that sounds like, as we run out of time here, that sounds like that might be another future episode we might have to do all about how firms need to give feedback to their people, because it's so critically important. So once again, we got to wrap up here, but that was some amazing insight from Paul. We really hit some great points on getting your team engaged, because that's how you get ready for the future. And that's another question. Is your firm ready for the future? Ready to shift into becoming the most relevant advisor? I know I'm more prepared, so I know you are after watching this episode, and soak up the knowledge Paul has to share. If you're watching and you want to see really how ready your firm is to become that most relevant advisor for your clients and maximize your business potential, take the Biz Survey and find out. Because there's a special offer for watching this episode. We're going to provide you with the results of your Biz Score and a quick pub meeting, as Paul likes to say, to review the results. There's a link below. It's on all the social media channels. I encourage your firm, take the test. See how ready you are for future success. It's that feedback we just talked about. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. So I want to thank everyone for watching. Click to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And as always, we challenge you today to take action to change the world and invest in yourself.